everyone, it's Hunter here with 360 Lsat Tutoring, and today I'm going to go over some reading comprehension tips that relate to speed. So if you want to increase your speed on the Lsat, maybe you're not making it to that last passage, or you're making it to that last passage and not finishing, these are going to be tips for you. So not only will these tips help you increase your speed, increase your efficiency, but you're also going to be able to comprehend the reading section better with these tips. So the first thing I want to talk about is understanding the organization of the passage. A lot of times a passage will introduce other people's opinion, and then the author's opinion, and then give a condition about the author's opinion. And you want to understand the structure of that. So understanding the structure not only helps you with the question that will ask you about the structure of the passage, but it also helps you go back into the passage when you need to answer a question and it's at a specific location. Let's say that the question is about Van Gogh's painting. And if I remember the structure of the passage, I can remember that they talked about Van Gogh in the third paragraph. So I can just go straight to the third paragraph. Instead of having to think through and read through the rest of the passage, I know to go exactly to the third paragraph and exactly where to go. This will save you a bunch of time on the reading section. The next thing that is really important is experimenting with what works for you on the reading. There's a common myth out there that you have to highlight and underline to do well on the reading. And I remember when I first started studying, I was highlighting stuff, I was underlining, and I wasn't finishing the reading section. I would leave a whole passage still to be done. So one day I just decided, I said to myself, I'm going to finish this no matter what. And I didn't highlight anything, I didn't underline anything. I read very quickly and answered questions very quickly. And I finished with like 4 minutes left. Something I had definitely never done. I'd never even finished the last passage. I don't think I understood a single thing of what went on. But I had scored 4 to 5 points better on that section than I did on any of my previous sections. I couldn't tell you what was on any of those passages. I had no idea. But from that point forward, I stopped highlighting, I stopped underlining, and I started reading a little quicker because I found that I retained more than I knew. And that's something that I experimented with, right? I wouldn't have discovered that had I just stuck to the same thing over and over, even though it wasn't working, right? So had I stuck to that, I would have just continued to not finish passages. I would have continued to do poorly on the reading. So experiment with what works for you and find out what combination of things works best for you. The next thing I want to talk about is a strategy that you can use while blind reviewing. So after you've already taken the test and after you've actually blind reviewed, right, what you want to do is find the answers and go back into the passage and highlight where those answers came from. So if it's the third paragraph, right, line 2, just highlight that, right? So you'll have maybe 4 or 5 questions highlighted. Some of the answer choices don't come from one specific area, so you may not be able to highlight those, but you'll be able to highlight around 4 or 5 on a passage. And then when you're done highlighting them, read back through the passage and take note of where they ask the questions. What are the questions asked about? Right? So you'll be able to see where the highlights are and specifically what they're about. The LSAT is very repetitive. They ask the same types of questions in the same locations. So if you get to know what they like to ask questions about and where they like to ask questions, then you'll be able to move more quickly on your future tests, and you'll know what to make mental notes of and what not to, right? You'll know, okay, I probably don't need to know this information as well as I need to know this other information. And that can definitely help your timing as well as your accuracy. The next thing that's really important and can help your timing because it can help you answer these questions very quickly is when you're reading through the passage, take note of people's opinions and their point of view. So you want to take note of not only the author's point of view, but other people's point of view, and where it switches. So a lot of times the author will be referencing other people's opinion for, let's say, the first paragraph, and then it switches to their opinion. So make note of the differences in the opinions and whose is where, so that you know where to go back to if there's a question about it. If there's a question about the other people's opinion, you would know to go back to the first paragraph. Along those lines, right, we want to understand the author's opinion very well, because there is usually a question about the author's opinion. If the author is using really flamboyant language to describe something, or really positive language to describe something, that's really important, because there's usually a question about the author's opinion. Additionally, if the author seems to like something but makes a caveat about it, right? So let's say they're talking about the economy in 1822, and they keep saying, oh, it was very good, and then they make a comment saying, but the housing market was really bad. You want to make note of that bad thing that they said about it, because when it comes to an answer choice about the author's opinion, if you're choosing between the words unbridled support and cautious optimism, the answer may be cautious optimism, right? Because they said a negative thing about the economy at that time. So take note of anything that kind of diverges from the author's main opinion, right? If they make a caveat to their point. The last thing I want to talk about is something pretty simple, but it's something that a lot of people don't know about, and that is making use of Control F. So the LSAT is on your computer now, it's online, right? And you are allowed to use Control F. So don't just use that on test day, because you're not going to know exactly what to look for. There are some things that you pick up along the way while practicing using Control F for words to look for. So practice using it and know that you are allowed to use that on the LSAT. I hope this information has helped you. If you're interested in Lsat Tutoring or just have a question, feel free to reach out to us. Our email is on the screen. It's 360lsattutoring@gmail.com. Again, if you have any questions, we would be happy to answer them.